Welcome back. It is the time of year when many people are in the giving mood, but can giving cash to the homeless actually be harmful? Homelessness expert Robert Marbut was hired as a consultant by the city back in 2013, and one startling statistic he shared is 93% of the money given to people on the street does not go towards food or shelter, but instead towards drugs and alcohol, according to the 2016 point-in-time survey by the Suncoast Partnership to End Homelessness. There are nearly 1,500 homeless individuals here on the Suncoast. So what is the best way to help? And joining us for more on what is called toxic charity is Ron Soto, chairman of Sarasota's Downtown Merchants Association, Major Ethan Frizzell of Sarasota Salvation Army, and Captain Kevin Stiff, who oversees the homeless outreach team for the Sarasota Police Department. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining us, and we're going to have some disagreements, I guess. There are so many different opinions. And, Ron, let me start with you, because you are downtown. We see the homeless every day down there. You see me often every day down there, lunch. How is it affecting your business?
It affects the business that people don't want to come downtown because they don't want to be bothered, or every time they walk down the street, have somebody come over and ask them for money, cigarettes, or whatever. But I think we're all pretty much in agreement. The homeless problem, and I don't think we should call them homeless. We don't have a problem with the homeless downtown. I've been saying for years we have a problem with vagrants and transients. The ones that the outreach team goes to, they try to give them help. The Salvation Army tries to give them help, and they don't want help. They want to stay out there because they stay drunk or abused or addicted to drugs, and they can't find those other shelters or the...
Ethan, is it as simple as all that?
Well, I think people's motivations may be different. So why someone doesn't want panhandling can be different, whether it be by police or businesses or the Salvation Army. But I think that one of the things that people who are compassionate, they're giving out of love and concern, which we understand. The issue is that when that concern causes someone to increase the amount of days in homelessness, then it becomes more complex. And some people will say, well, a sandwich or a pizza never kept someone homeless. But I'm telling you, after doing this for 20 years, is there are people on Thanksgiving weekend that won't come into shelter because they know the generosity that will be in certain areas downtown.
But not all homeless people or vagrants are alike. I mean, there are people there because of what's been happening in the economy. I can't tell you how many times I see people on the street corner saying, you know, married mother of 5, married dad of 3, jobless, please help.
I wouldn't disagree with you there, Alan, but especially downtown, I am in charge of the homeless outreach team for Sarasota. We have 2 of them, and they make frequent contacts in the downtown area. I would dare say there's not anybody downtown in Sarasota that has not been offered services. And the county and the continuing care has a lot of services, especially for families. But I also am in charge of the patrol division, and I frequently, numerous times a day, get calls reference criminal behavior that occurs downtown in the areas with the individuals that Mr. Soto and...
What type of criminal behavior?
We get calls about drug sales, open use of drugs, open use of alcohol. I mean, many of those individuals that are down there, when the homeless outreach team contacts them, they tell them that they get more handouts there than they get anywhere else in the continuum of care. They don't have to leave down there. We arrest, I'd say probably 75% of the people we arrest down in that area are not arrested for what many people call nuisance crimes. They're arrested for possession of narcotics and sale of narcotics and use of narcotics or open containers in that area.
But again, it seems to me that there are a number of different categories here. There are people who may have a drug or alcohol problem and or a mental health issue, and there are people who are homeless and on the street because of circumstance.
Sure. One of the professionals in this service area said recently, if you were to go to the doctors and you're in the emergency room, would you appreciate a faith group or a well-meaning person to say, please come on out with us, we'll take care of what you need, it's a cough, here's a cough drop, or would you actually like to see the professionals who are trained in the service? And essentially, this is the same conversation. So within the continuum of care in Sarasota County, there's roughly 40 agencies that help with homeless services, people who've been trained, who are professional, to help meet people's needs. And what the professionals are saying, trying to say very clearly, is that when you help people stay on the street longer, it is harder to get them homeless because the effects, the mental health effects, the health effects on the street are just detrimental. So people will say, last year we had, for example, on one of the holiday nights, people were late coming to shelter so they couldn't stay because someone was down at Whitaker Park handing out sleeping bags. So now you have a whole group of people with new sleeping bags outside that are going to stay out and party instead of coming inside on a road to housing.
And that causes a problem for the law enforcement side too. Businesses call because people are loitering in the areas, urinating, defecation, trash. Yeah. Those problems just are compounded by.
All right, we are just getting started, but there is much more to talk about with this roundtable. But first, when we return, we'll bring you a full look at our weather forecast. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we are discussing toxic charity, the ways giving cash to the homeless can actually be counterproductive. And our guests tonight include Ron Soto, chairman of Sarasota's Downtown Merchants Association, Major Ethan Frizzell of Sarasota's Salvation Army, and Captain Kevin Stiff, who oversees the homeless outreach team for the Sarasota Police Department. Ron, are all downtown merchants on the same page?
The majority of the merchants are on the same page. We still have a problem with some of the merchants, though, that will give them money for breaking down their boxes and taking them out to the dumpsters and stuff, which I've said, why don't you just buy them a bottle of vodka and give it to them instead of the money?
Well, and what I meant by that is because, you know, as you know, I'm downtown all the time, and I do see, you know, the homeless eating at some of the downtown establishments.
Yeah. Well, when somebody asks me for money, which happens all the time because I'm walking downtown, I won't give them any money, and I say, are you actually hungry? And if they say yes, I'll tell them, pick a restaurant. Any restaurant you want, I'll buy you anything on the menu. No alcohol, you know, either tea or coffee, water. But I've never had one person come over there and say, you know what, I'll take it. I've actually had people come over and say, pick a restaurant. Well, I just want a couple of dollars so I can get a Subway. I said, I'll take you to Hyde Park Steakhouse and buy you a porterhouse, and you want a Subway. Okay. No, because they want the money for the alcohol.
So what is the discussion or the battle like within your organization in terms of getting everyone on the same page, or is that just not possible?
I think you're always going to find that one or two people that are going to sit there and say, you know what, you're going to do it because it makes them feel better. And that's the main reason people give money, is that it makes me feel better, or the idea of, here, I'll give you a couple of dollars and go away and leave me alone.
Now, we should make clear, as was in Kate's story, you know, according to the ACLU, the homeless have every right to say anything on the streets. That is the First Amendment right. So per se, Captain, panhandling is not illegal.
No, panhandling is not illegal. We actually have an ordinance against solicitation in places, or aggressive solicitation. So you cannot solicit someone in a parking garage or at one of the cafes on Main Street. They shouldn't be solicited there. They're not trying to progress down the street. They're trying to have dinner. So you can't solicit there. And then aggressive panhandling, an individual could not follow someone and continually demand money or block their way into a business in asking for funds. That would be illegal. But again, panhandling itself or solicitation is legal in the city of Sarasota.
So Ethan, what is the discussion amongst the people that you deal with in terms of what they are doing during the day, and you know, what can the Salvation Army tell them when those who go downtown and solicit?
Sure. So we had 1,594 people come into emergency assistance last year at the Center of Hope. In that, 390 people were moved directly from homelessness to housing, so that's important. And we have a program that has a 70% placement rate into employment. There's downtown merchants that are very kind at employing people through recovery and people who need that second chance. So the encouragement is that when you see people who are there, one is to trust the system, all the continuum of care programs, trust that there's ways for people to get assisted, and support one of those when you see someone in need. And we have a lot of conversations, whether it be faith groups and others that are going, but we're just sharing love. And we understand that. But we also understand the other side of it that says, you know, when you see a group of people and you see young girls with older guys and seniors there, that is not a loving relationship. There's a reason we talked about the sex trade, the drug trade, and toxic charity. Those hubs become very dangerous, and we're just asking people not to support that hub of activities, but instead help those people, as Ron has done with people needing jobs. He's driven them to the shelter and said, Major Frizzell, you said you could get them a job, here they are. And it makes a difference.
I've done that.
Isn't it possible that some people wind up downtown asking for money to buy something because they really are hungry right then and there?
Absolutely.
So you buy them food, you don't give them money. One of the things, if you look at these where it shows your kindness could kill, if you look on the back of the card, it lists a bunch of the organizations. Like you said, we have 40 different organizations that are feeding, clothing, and sheltering these people.
Now, I would imagine one of the unique challenges around here is that we have so many people, especially this time of year, from other parts of the country and other countries, where there may be different sensibilities in terms of how to deal with the homeless when they encounter them on the street. Do you see that, Captain?
Well, I deal with individuals all the time that I speak to about giving directly to the homeless, and I try to encourage them that it increases homelessness and enables homelessness. We frequently get complaints in downtown about 10 or 15 same chronically homeless individuals. The individuals that they believe they're doing the best are sustaining them to be homeless downtown. Some of them have mental illness. If they do not have the ability to address their own mental illness, sustaining them on the street with meals and food does not get them to a professional giver.
I always ask this question, no matter what topic we're discussing, and that is, are other communities doing it better? Have other communities found a more effective way to deal with the homeless downtown who are asking for money or food and affecting downtown businesses?
Oh, I think one thing that you hear, whether it be from the business community, the police community, and or the nonprofit community, is that you hear a real collaboration to help people to get housed. Some communities will appear to do better because they move forward with criminalization of homelessness, right? There's a homeless, we're going to put them in the car, we're going to bring them on the other side of the bridge and move them out of the town. One of the things that we work on very collectively is actually how do we bring people in and allow them to get the services they need to go to the root causes of what's causing their stress and allow them to move back to housing. And so those things are actually quite good in Sarasota.
One of the things that Sarasota is really a destination for people. They come here from the wintertime because it's warm, climate's good, and we have so many services here. They can get all kinds of stuff here, and that's why you heard about the people coming up from Naples and stuff to come to Sarasota.
That was my next question, is whether, whether you're homeless and you're coming to Sarasota because you know the people are generous there. We have reported that there was this one agency in Naples that drove somebody and basically dumped them on your door. How often does that happen?
Well, I've spoken to my homeless outreach team frequently, and I'm sure Major Frizzell can tell you it happens quite frequently. And I hate to say that it happens out of meanness or anything. From around the state, we get frequently told by the homeless people that they know that they can come here and get services.
Yeah.
So while we're doing phenomenal work in Sarasota, the homeless outreach team, the continuing care, we have beds at the Salvation Army. It's also, it is working against us because people know that they have an opportunity here to get housing or a job and somewhere shelter.
We've often reported about the difficulties that the city and the county are having in terms of building a new shelter. If the city and the county work to get its collective act together on this issue, would the situation downtown during the day be any different?
I would think not. And the reason for it is the ones that are basically addicted, they're going to come downtown because that's where the money is. That's where you have a lot of wealthy people that live downtown, and we're a very giving community. Dr. Marbut even said that was our biggest problem, is that we're such a giving community. And if you see them out there panhandling, you only see them panhandle for like 30 to an hour, 30 minutes to an hour each day, because the key is to get $25 to $45. At $25, you get your $25 bag of dope, and anything over the $25 depends on how much alcohol you can get. So at the $45 level is where you want to be.
Your program there with the signs in the establishments downtown, that's been going on for a couple of months now.
Actually, it's been going on for a couple of years now.
Okay. Has there been any change in terms of, or are you able to see whether it's been effective since you started this?
The other signs that we had that said, please don't give in to panhandling, it was a little more direct. This is a little more subtle, that your kindness could kill. But the panhandling signs, I think, did a better job because hit the nail on the head.
Hasn't made any difference.
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, if you look at some of the downtown services for homeless, they're down. And if you look at the expansion of sidewalk cafes and everything else, they're up.
They're up.
Right? So there are people downtown who are celebrating. And just to comment on the city and county, we're very pleased to say that we live in the midst of both. So the city is actually one of our largest funders to help people come into shelter, which is tremendous, and the county helps us move them out.
All right, we have to take a quick break. But when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests. Plus, we'll share with you what some of our viewers are saying about the outlook for affordable housing here on the Suncoast. Welcome back. It may be tempting to give cash to the homeless when they are asking for your help, but could you be doing more harm than good? Our guests join us now for final thoughts on what they believe. And Captain, over the last 2 years, what have you seen?
Well, over the last 2 years, the city of Sarasota, we've got 2 homeless outreach teams. We've made countless contacts with homeless individuals. We've helped get people into housing. We've done our education and encouragement and enforcement program where we teach every person how to get to services. So I see that the problem has greatly decreased over the past 3 years. We still have a few problem areas, but we continue to focus on those areas. And I'd ask anybody that wants to give to homeless, and I understand that, the desire to give and help others, please give to either a charity or a food bank.
Is there a way to quantify how successful the homeless are when they do solicit people who are walking through the downtown?
Absolutely. Count how many there are.
Okay.
The number that are downtown.
They wouldn't be there if they weren't successful.
They wouldn't be there if they weren't successful. And we've worked together a lot, and we'll go and say, will you come in? And on Friday nights and holiday nights, that people won't come in because they're trusting that some compassionate person is going to go and give. So our request is this Thanksgiving is please be kind to the whole community by not hurting people, by giving them those things that will actually keep them on the street longer.
And Ron, what is at stake for the downtown?
What is at stake? I think we've got a beautiful place to live here. It's a beautiful place to be homeless in. And if I leave you with anything, is what they've already said, is to please don't give money on the streets. Give it to the Salvation Army, the Resurrection House, all these other facilities that we have, and let them, the professionals, do the work.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic. As part of our Suncoast 2037 series, we looked into how affordable housing will change here on the Suncoast over the next 2 decades. Nearly 40% of residents in Sarasota County already spend more than a third of their income each month on housing. Here's what some of you are saying. Ron Flynn writes, there is affordable housing in the outskirts, like Arcadia, Carpool, like I did for 30 years in every city that I lived in. Linda Saransenko writes, Sarasota only cares about the rich and tourist money. There is no affordable housing here. And Darren Farrell writes, it is the simple economics of supply and demand. Sarasota is a very desirable place to live with limited space, so housing costs go up. You can't just make housing free. I don't get why that is so hard to understand. Well, it's not hard to understand, Darren. It's about having police officers, firefighters, and teachers living in the same time zone as their jobs. If you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, want to watch past Roundtable discussions? They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Ron Sutherland is chairman of the Sarasota Downtown Merchants Association. Major Ethan Frizzell is commander at the Sarasota Salvation Army. And Captain Kevin Stiff oversees the homeless outreach team for the Sarasota Police Department.